Hi, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about buying residential real estate and what the factors that you're required to consider while buying a residential real estate. So, while there are a number of factors, I'm just going to be covering some of the most important factors when you're buying residential real estate. So, first, let us just define what do we mean when we say a residential real estate. So, residential real estate would include and mean anything starting all the way from plot on which you want to construct a house to build a flow, which is essentially the plot on which they construct multiple units, starting all the way from ground floor to first floor to second, third, fourth, and sell these units independently. It could be a high rise, it could be a medium rise, etc. So there are a number of different configurations in which residential places come up, but we don't generally cover a place wherein a person is going to stay under a roof, etc. So right, so we need it is essentially defined as a place wherein a person is going to be staying, and uh, generally it is on a longer term basis. It's not on short term basis like a hotel would be or a hostel would be, etc. Okay, so let us begin with what are the important factors. Like, there could be hundreds of factors that you need to consider while making any decision about buying something, but then you got to know the most essential factors. So while I have listed down four factors here, the first one being the location of where the property is, the second one is the locality, how does the surrounding look like, how is the construction, how are other residents who around you, third is financing, at what rate are you getting your loan, etc., how much time do you want to take to be able to pay for it, and all those things, and last is the legality, whether whatever you are gonna be purchasing, is that even going to make sense for you, right? So given all of that, there could be other factors also besides that. So say for instance, there is something like, if you're buying it from an investment perspective, you're also going to be able to assess that what are the new upcoming projects in that area which are likely to affect the prices in a long term basis. What say for instance, you're buying it from an investment perspective, then you're also going to be able to look at the liquidity of the asset, whether how easy or difficult it would be to sell this asset, etc. So hell number of factors that you might want to look at. However, I'm here just listing out some of the most important ones. So let us begin with location. Now, a lot of people start and love to start their video. There's nothing more important than location. Yes, it is quite an important factor, perhaps one of the most important factors determining how good a residential area is. And within location, you got to understand what are the economic activities that are happening beside or in the surroundings of that location, or how well connected is that location to various different economic activities or to various different utilities, etc. For that matter, let me say, for instance, well, the clear factor that you will look at is the convenience of you or your personal lifestyle. So you need to be aware that how far is my office, how far is my work area from the given location. In fact, an interesting case study here is to be cited of Bangalore. For example, in Bangalore, as soon as the metro opened, and it did connectivity between area A and B. Area A had a lot of office space, but the residential societies around area A were quite expensive, whereas the area B did not have that many offices, and residential areas were also quite affordable around there. And the moment the metro opened, just the opposite side of the metro, where the residential areas were quite affordable, went up in prices as well. And the reason was primarily due to good connectivity, and the area already had a pretty good social infrastructure, like utilities such as schools, all the different malls, shopping areas, entertainment areas, etc. So you got to be really aware of where the economic activity is happening, and how well connected your specific location is to those economic activities, and that generally becomes the most important factor in terms of determining your prices. For example, Gurgaon, you would imagine there's a cyber hub, which is the core of most of the high-end office space, and a lot of residential areas which are adjoining to that, or the ones which have good connectivity to cyber hub, have really gone up in prices, and the ones that have been a little bit far away have not been that affordable, or have been quite affordable. And you would see also the nature of economic activity is quite important. So for instance, an area like Faridabad in the Delhi NCR region, which has a lot of industrial places. However, despite having those industrial industries, the kind of individuals who work there are blue collar and might not have sufficient disposable income, and therefore the prices in Faridabad have not risen as much as in, let's say, a Gurgaon, wherein a lot of people who are working are white collar and their income is significantly high. So it really comes down to the nature of the economic activity and how well you're connected to that. Of course, the utilities in the area matter. You cannot have an area adjacent to a great economic activity with very bad utility. You really cannot have that area work well. So, for instance, there is something called U Block in Gurgaon, which is notorious for PGs. While the prices have gone up, they've not gone up maybe as much as a couple of other posh areas, which, while a little further away from the core of economic activity, the cyber hub, but provide relatively better utilities. So that is the first part. The second part is the nature of locality. So you got to be really, really aware of how exactly is the area we are living in terms of amenities. How are the shopping complexes? How are the clubs? How are the facilities such as sports, swimming, pool, um, etc. And similarly, a very important thing is also the kind of residents who live around. They need to be of a similar economic standing so that you're comfortable there and you're enjoying your time there. Plus, as well as you also have networking ability. People just find it better, easier, and more manageable and fun to live in an area wherein people are of similar social standing, and there's no point of discrimination. I mean, uh, it's not the right thing to discriminate people on the basis of their social standing. But when you're taking a call in terms of where you want to reside and the residential real estate, you really, really need to be mindful of this. What sort of residents are residing, and whether you find yourself comfortable staying with those residents or not. And last is perhaps something which might or might not fall in that, but it's also the construction quality of of the project or of the house that you are going to get into. While on lone standing plots, it's seldom very important. It plays quite a big and important role when you are trying to buy a residential apartment, and in residential apartment structure plays quite an important role. So generally now it is being seen that people are preferring Maivan construction over other kinds of construction. All of that put together, I mean, you need to consider these factors. They influence your value quite a bit. For instance, when you look at amenities, today almost all societies offer certain basic level of amenities, and if they don't have that, it is difficult to kind of reside there, and you will have additional expenses and lack of convenience in accessing a lot of these amenities which would otherwise be very, very easily available. Second, in terms of residents, like they really, really decide the price, and they really decide how your experience of living somewhere is going to be. Ek society, though, you can think of places like Camellias, Aralias in Gurgaon, which are high end, and just opposite to that are a couple of other old DLF societies, and the living experience is vastly different because the kind of residents who reside there, kind of services they demand, kind of maintenance they're ready and willing to pay. Similarly, you would see in Builder Float there, despite of it being no more than 3, 4, or 5 at max floors in some areas, and I'm not talking about Gurgaon particularly. Gurgaon only has 4 floors. A couple of areas do permit 5 floors, and you see really people not willing to contribute to maintenance, etc. In a lot of independent plotted areas, people not willing to pay for maintenance, and that really brings down the quality of life where you're living. And of course, if people are engaged in an entirely different economic activity, don't really end up relating to them, and that really causes the distance, etc. Construction quality, well, it is important. I'm not touching a lot of it because it's a very, very vast topic in itself, so no point in touching it here. But some factor which goes along with the locality: how's the construction of the society, how's the construction of the house that you're buying, and that really, really affects the overall decision making. uh, the next are the two more operational stuff, and they play an important role while you're buying. So if you're buying something, it is really important to understand the opportunity cost of funds that are available with you. There's this vast debate of whether to buy or rent, and I really don't know which side of the debate you stand on. But if you're buying, you really need to be aware of the opportunity cost of the funds that you're going to utilize in it. There's nothing. There's a part of emotional reasons to buy it. Some of the real estate can yield quite a good return some don't. Some for a lot of people it is about having that comfort, having that security. Sorry. So a lot of factors that play quite an important role in deciding whether you are willing to utilize that specific funds that are available with you to be able to use it. Second is the interest rate, depending on your credit score, etc. It will be significant interest rate. And fund availability also plays, just coming to the fund availability, it also plays a role in terms of your ability to negotiate the prices, etc. What is the price that you're getting it at? So for example, if you could go and buy a property at around March, especially from a builder, and it's the first time buy from a builder, then it's a good idea to negotiate with them in March, because a lot of these folks in the sales team are trying to close deals, and they kind of just are prefer to uh, sort of give you some discounts, etc. You can negotiate down the price quite a bit, and every lakh matters, every rupee matters when you're trying to negotiate it down. So what is the price that you're getting it at? What's the fund availability? What is the net cost? And whether what is the extent to which you can bring it down is an important factor. So that negotiation, what is the base rate, is important. Second, a lot of people want to secure loans for it, so the interest rate at which you're getting it, and you need to be able to figure out what is the cheapest interest rate that you can get. Last, but one of the very important factors is the kind of payment schedule, that what is the process in which your payment will go. And this doesn't play an important role when you are in the secondary market, but the moment you come in the primary market, when you're buying directly from the builder, it plays quite an important role. So if you're buying directly from a builder, generally they would say that you have to pay 10%, or it's a construction linked payment plan, etc., etc. And that would essentially say that you will end up paying 10% now, 20% at certain level, 30% at certain level. And it's spread over 4 5 years, and really is easy on your pocket to be able to pay it. And that, in terms of opportunity cost, as well as your requirement to pay interest, only arises when the requirement for funds accrue. So that brings down the cost of the property significantly, and you've got to be mindful of that. Last bit is the legality. Again, I will not get into the depth of what is it and how is it influencing various things, but very important to decide the legality. Most important is whether chain of title is clear or not, and this predominantly comes up in when you are dealing with predominantly I would say assets such as predominantly in the secondary market, not in the primary market. Primary market need to check for other factors like whether there is RERA licensing, etc., and whether what sort of property need to go by. That really depends on, like in the primary market, depends on a hell number of factors, like whether it is a seller finance project, whether it is some other kind of project, etc. I'll not get into depth of what all is there, but in the secondary market, the legality really is important. In primary market also, you should ideally go and check on the RERA website for all the documentation of the project and whether they have secured the right titles, etc., from the relevant partners, stakeholders. Second, in secondary market is also important whether there is no inheritance issue in that specific asset. A lot of times people are dead, and their second generation is trying to sell the property, and that second generation and that really opens a can of worms sometimes. And or it might have been bought from somebody else previously in the secondary market, and it could be a third, fourth, fifth sale. So you got to be really aware of the rights that have accrued from previous sales. So that chain of title and inheritance, the mixture of these two plays quite an important role. So yeah, that's how legality looks like. There's one minor factor which you got to keep in mind while you're buying, which is that a lot of properties should be encumbrance free, which is that municipality taxes, uh, electricity bill, water bill, etc., must have been paid from time to time. Otherwise, that creates a minor issue. So just to be mindful of that small thing, we got to you got to be very active about that. But yeah, that roughly sets the tone. So yeah, when you're buying a residential real estate, a lot of factors that play an important role in it. However, location, locality, finances, and legality are the four most important factors, and within them there are certain sub factors that you need to look at. uh, but that should be it. Thank you for watching. This was my first video. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good time. Bye bye.